What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where today we're going to talk a little bit about the Broncos game, right? Didn't have the recap yesterday. It was a little later. Emotionally drained. I just assumed by the time I got the video out, people wouldn't be wanting to see it, be going to bed and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Talk about the game, having a chance to sleep on it. Coming into the next day, not any easier. We can still get into the playoffs. We got to hope that the Chargers lose a couple, and we got to be able to win out. But nonetheless, the chances look bleak for us to be able to make it into the playoffs. And but we got a couple of division games. One against the Titans. We got one against the Jaguars. We got the Giants in there. And we should be able to go 3-0. So should be able to come out of this, still go 9-8 on the season. But of course, coming out of this loss. A lot of talk about Ballard and everything surrounding him. A lot of talk about what transpired in the game. And when you look at the game, man, like you look at, as I sit here, you look at the team stats. I mean, for a portion of this game and largely throughout this game, we dominated. We had more first downs, right? The one place we faltered was that we were 4 for 15 on third down. And I believe we started 3 for 3. So just not being able to convert third downs. We were 2 for 4 on fourth down. So essentially, 2 turnovers on downs. You also have 2 interceptions. Two interceptions by Anthony Richardson. Then you have a pick 6 on a trick play, ridiculous trick play. You're only down 4. Chance to go get momentum. You have a good drive going. You're in Denver's territory. And hey, let's do a trick play where the second pass, it took AD like 3 seconds to throw it back to Anthony Richardson. Everybody on the field at that point knew what was happening, and he wasn't getting blocked anymore. Bernie just wasn't blocking him anymore. I literally just watched it on the side screen here, and I mean, just what are we doing, right? And again, as you go through this game, like we ran more plays on offense. We had more than 100 more yards than them, 310 total yards for the Colts, which still isn't a lot, but the Broncos had 193 now. They have 193, but were able to get 31 points because of a pick 6, so the defense scores. They also had 2 big kick returns, punt return, actually maybe both punt returns, whatever the case, 2 short fields because of their special teams. So throughout the day, complementary football. That's what playoff teams do, is play complementary football. Early in this game, the Colts had dominated. The Colts were playing complementary football. Even in the first half, the score was only 13-7. Could have very easily have been 16-7 or 27, 23-7. There in the first half, Colts just shooting themselves in the foot, not playing great football. But it looked like, hey, if this team can figure it out, if they can just go into this second half, stop having those self-imposed mistakes that we should have known they would have, because they do it all season long. That's why we are at this point 6-8, right? And of course, going into the second half, it was like, listen, we just clean it up, we'll be all right. And then in the second half, coming out, we have been so bad in the third quarter, and we have been so good in the fourth quarter. That's what I thought would happen. And then we were up 13-7, coming out. Broncos get the ball back. I believe we got the interception on that first drive, right? And then I believe is how that worked out. And then Jonathan Taylor rips off a 41-yard touchdown. Jonathan Taylor, a beautifully blocked Jonathan Taylor, beautiful run, a beautiful play to put us up 19-7. We would have been up 19-7. And Jonathan Taylor, as he's going into the end zone, it's so uncharacteristic, it's so unbelievable. He dropped the ball before he got to the goal line. Before the ball crossed the goal line, he dropped the ball. Why would you not just carry the ball with you anyways? Is like the whole point of it. And Jonathan Taylor drops the ball. We would have been up 20-7 at the beginning of the third quarter. Defense dominating the Broncos at this point. And even still, the defense able to do their thing throughout. You look at the rest of that third quarter, the Colts turned into the Colts who they are in the third quarter all the time, and we end up scoring 0 points. Should have had 7. End up scoring 0 points in the third quarter. Broncos score 3 points in the third quarter. So defense still largely doing their thing. If I'm not mistaken, that 3 points came from one of those big returns where they end up getting a field goal. And I'm not completely sure as I sit here and look at it, but that's what I think happened. And then, of course, the fourth quarter happens. Everything falls apart. Comedy of errors. AD's interception. Right. Just it was just it was all bad, man. The fourth quarter was crazy. We get outscored 21-0. Right, going into the fourth quarter, the score of that game was 13-10. We were still winning. Everything that had happened, all the mistakes we made, and we were still winning. The what was essentially a playoff game going into the fourth quarter on the road. We were up 13-10, and we just gave it up. We gave it up, right? We had more passing yards. Anthony goes 17 for 38. Bo Nix 20 for 33, 133 yards. Anthony 172 yards. But Bo Nix 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. They go off in the fourth quarter. Again, short fields. We had 5 total turnovers in this game, which ends up being Anthony Richardson's 2 interceptions. And actually, as I sit here and look at it, apparently AD, because he was throwing it backwards, AD's pass counts as a fumble returned for a touchdown, I believe, not an interception returned as a touchdown. So altogether, we end up with 3 fumbles, right? You have AD throwing the backwards pass that gets returned for a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor, who dropped the ball as he's going into the end zone, 14-point swing right there. Take that away. Broncos have 24. We have 20. At the very least, it could have looked more respectable, right? But then you also have Michael Pittman Jr. and his fumble, right? Wide open catch, just gets hit and loses the ball. Broncos get a short field. So turnovers and points off turnovers absolutely killed us. Penalties started to kill us. There was a couple drives in a row where it was starting on the beginning of the drive. We end up with, out of 2 drives, 3 holding calls that were a detriment to us and cost us in a big way at different points. I believe those happened in the third quarter. And we had more time of possession. We dominated this game. We dominated this game in so many ways, and we still find a way to come out and lose the game. Somehow, some way. We find a way to lose this game. And changes have to be made. Changes have to be made. Somehow, some way, something's got to happen. What has to happen? And I've tried to tell you guys, and there are people saying, "Oh no, we don't need to rebuild it," and Chris Ballard doesn't need to go. There are people that think that. And, of course, the way the defense performed, right, it's like, what's going to happen with Gus? I feel like as the season's gone on and the defense has shown that they can be better, I just think that chance Gus Bradley's going to be back next year. And we'll see how that goes. Defense balled out. Again, there were a lot of short fields, right? Even the 21 points. You think, okay, so the defense, for all intents and purposes, gave up 24 points. The offense gave up 7, right? So defense gives up 24 points, but even still, special teams gives up short fields. I believe one of the special teams plays got them inside the 10 or even inside the 5, something of the sort, right? So it's just short fields. The defense played incredible. Giving up the touchdowns that they gave up, not entirely their fault. They played maybe the best game that they've played the entire Gus Bradley regime, to be completely honest with you. Defense was unbelievable. And the offense started so good. That first drive was so good. Second drive, really good. But we shoot ourselves in the foot, end up not coming away with the touchdown, kick a field goal. And I think that was a point where the game really started to turn. And there was a little bit of a change of momentum at that point when they stopped us from getting a touchdown. It was like, okay, we're not just going to be able to go and score in it, because that's what it felt like. That entire drive felt like it was setting up for a touchdown. Broncos stop us, and we end up with only 10 points instead of 14, right? And I feel like that started to change some of the momentum. And after that point, everything became tougher. And again, we go to the break 13-7, go to the fourth quarter up 13-10, but we still have a chance to go and close this thing out. But man, after that Jonathan Taylor fumble, we get outscored 24-0 in the second half. Just, I mean, absolutely soul crushing way to basically end your season. You know what I mean? I mean, for as hard as this team has fought, as close as we've been in different games, as good as we've looked, like there are different times where the offense looks unstoppable, and there are different times where it's like, man, the offense just, what are we doing? This is JV football. And the inconsistencies, and that was what we talked about at the very beginning of the year. And I've said this so much about consistency and execution, and said very early on about how those were going to be the words for this season, the key words for this season on us becoming a better football team. We got to be consistent, we got to be able to execute, and we didn't do those things. And of course, some of this is on Anthony. And 17 of 38, there were definitely some drops in the game. His teammates definitely let him down, but we did see Anthony miss some throws in this game and doing some things, falling back into some of those bad habits coming out of the bye week, right? So going into an off season, we need him to be healthy going into the off season. And so there's definitely a conversation to be had there. But of course, you need him to get game reps. So that'll be the final determination on that conversation, really. But as long as he's healthy going into the offseason, he'll be able to really work on what he needs to work on. But still some clear things for Anthony to get better at. And I think these next three games are going to be really good, right? And Titans have seemingly a better defense, one of the better defenses in the league for the most part. So Anthony will be tested there, but a chance to go against three bad teams and get 3 wins to close out the season and get some confidence and momentum going in, especially finishing the year with the Giants and the Jaguars, and possibly being able to score a lot of points against these teams coming up. I think it'll be good for Anthony and the offense for how this year finished up, likely not making the playoffs. But can we finish on a high note and see what we can put together here over these last 3 weeks, and who's going to be here next year, who's not going to be here. That's what these next 3 weeks is going to be a big audition for, going against 3 bad teams. It's like, okay, who can come in and be the guys that we know, hey, when we're playing bad teams, these guys are going to make plays and we can depend on them to make plays. And these are the guys we're definitely building around with Anthony Richardson going into the future. Which veterans are going to go out and be out, and which veterans are going to ask to be out. A lot of questions coming up, a lot of conversation to be had. But this is where it starts. Disappointing game, just extremely disappointing. JT carries for over 100 yards. Anthony Richardson, beautiful touchdown run on the opening drive. Beautiful play design. All for it to just crumble away. 5 total turnovers is really the thing that cost us in this game. We were in it until we weren't. And that's the story of our season, the 2024 season. Just disappointing. But got some games again against some division. Hope you guys stick around, man. Gonna keep pumping out content. Gonna keep going live Sundays for the game. And hope that you'll join me. Come hang out. appreciate everybody that comes to the channel, spends your time here through this 2024 season. I know it's a disappointing way to essentially end the season, at least, end our playoff hopes. Season's not over, though. Have some good times ahead against some bad football teams. We can see some good things, hopefully, here toward the end of the season. So, go ahead and vent, right? Overreaction Monday. Give me your opinions. Give me your thoughts on the Colts 2024 season, on this game. You let me know whatever you're thinking down in the comment section. And of course, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you get notified anytime we go live, anytime we have any more content dropping on this channel. Of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.